Hurrah! Thank you, my brother. I have no idea what the thumbnail was. I just pressed something. I was like, yep, let's go for it. Um, how is everybody? I hope everyone's doing well. Of course, I've notified everyone on Discord. Hopefully they're there. Faisal, my brother, he's here. Awesome. Nice to see you. Um, let's talk about the market a little bit. And I'm going to talk a little bit about myself. I think, you know what? The direction I'm moving, I want to talk about it and obviously share my stuff with you guys. So let's see how things work out, right? So with crypto, let's start with that. Hey, Beijing George, yo, bro, nice to see you. Um, bro, I, when was the last time I saw you, George? When was the last time I saw you, man? Because the name rings a bell, but I just can't. I just can't put a. Yeah, I just can't put anything to it. But anyway, welcome back. If you are here, I am here. I'm just not as frequent as I used to be, but nice to see you. I haven't done a vertical in a long while, that's for sure. I've been doing some horizontals to avoid the trolls and everything on YouTube. Because it's not always about the views, guys. Honestly, it's not about the views. A lot of the time it's the message. Sometimes we just want to do some unfiltered message. And my boy Albin, oh my days, yes, yes, yes. Wow, wow, wow. Years, bloody hell, years. It just says how long I've been here. I've been here too long, man. Too long, I'm telling you. Hence why I want to give you guys a little bit of an update on what I'm doing and where I'm moving myself as well. So, you know, good and bad and so many different things, man. Yeah, 2020, 2021, that's years ago, man, long time ago. I mean, Albin's moved along, right? Albin's moved along. He's doing really good on TikTok, selling his whatever he's marketing for, those affiliate things he's doing quite well with those trading accounts and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I hope you're doing some of that as well. So he's doing quite well. I do keep tabs with him, tabs on him, and I actually do follow him on TikTok as well. So I get to see what he gets up to. So it's been good. And yeah, I remember the good old days when Albin used to come in and, he's a young fella and now he's a grown man, right? So he's doing good, man. But yeah, nice to see you here, my brother. So let's talk about the market a little bit, right? So a lot of the times, we focus on and I've talked about this before as well. Like a lot of the time we fall into the hype and we kind of forget to look at the chart, right? Or stop looking at what the charts are telling us beforehand, and we really, don't know how to react when things move the opposite way. So for those of you guys who have been following me for a very long time, you know exactly how I kind of operate. So I'm always thinking one step, two step ahead, if that's a good way of putting it, right? So for example, when we were sitting at 76k, I did say, look, I'm not going to open it. I'm not going to do anything unless I get to around 98k. That's where I want to open my thing, right? George says, yes, bro. Thought I'd come and say hi. God bless you, bro. God bless you too, my brother. God bless you too. Erhan, hi, bye. मैं आपका बहुत बड़ा fan who. Oh, so you're a big fan. All right, my brother. No worries. So I do speak Hindi, but I just don't know how to read it in English. So, nice to see you as well. Anyway, thank you very much for being a fan. I think Faisal, he's also a fan, and he's also a member in Discord as well. And he's been very supportive, very kind brother. And there are a few things I want to venture into, and I think Faisal's going to come and venture as well. So that's a good thing as well. A lot of the times, okay, let's divert from crypto a little bit, right? Like the market a little bit and talk about this. A lot of the times, I'm here on YouTube, right? I have no idea who half the people are, right? Out of the entire YouTube community, right? So there's an exception, right? The first 20 subscribers, I would say the first 20 subscribers, friends and family and associates and people I actually started making videos for. So of course I know them, I've met them in person, I've seen them face to face. They are a complete different person. Then we have people like Bubble. I've never met Bubble before YouTube, and then I've met Bubble in person. So Bubble's a subscriber who I've met in person. You see what I mean? So there's Bubble. Then of course there's another Free Energy, right, subscriber who I've met in person, and we've actually been to dinner and whatnot as well. And then we've got KR, like my number one subscriber, who I haven't actually personally met, but we've had plenty of conversations, we've exchanged numbers, we've had video calls and whatnot, and all sorts of other stuff. And he's a lovely brother. Like a younger brother, I treat him, right? So I can have a go at him, you know, like a younger brother. So here we are, like, you know, I've met someone through YouTube where we might be doing things in the future. And then Faisal comes along last year, I think it was last year or the year before. Faisal pops in. He just randomly just found us, and I'm sure he can share the story. And yeah, salam, my brother. Dia Khan, hello. Okay, hello, salam. Um, I don't know what the flags are. I see Pakistan, I see Bangladesh. I see Iran or Iraq. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, yeah, love all of them. Anyway, look, you know, we're all here. It's all a family. We're international. We're global. So end of the day, you know, it's nice to see all of you people here. And yeah, my heritage is from Bangladesh. So yeah, if that makes any difference. But anyway, let's get back to what I was saying. So you sometimes meet these like random strangers on YouTube, right? Who are subscribers, very supportive, become your Discord members or whatnot, and this and that. And then you start communicating, and you know, you share bits and bobs and try and help each other out in one way or another. And then they turn out to be someone like, you know, something completely unexpected. And Faisal's one of those, completely unexpected. You know, he's young, and I shouldn't be saying anything about him personal, but obviously he's young, he's determined, he's ambitious, he wants to do certain things, and I think that's a plus point in anybody. You shouldn't enter into investments or anything, in fact, right, if you don't have determination to reach an end goal. And that's what I want to talk about, my end goal as well, right? So you always need to have an end goal. What is it that you want to achieve? You know, some brothers have come to me and said, oh, I want to buy a house. Okay, fine, you want to buy a house. Someone says, I want to buy a car. Okay, fine, you want to buy a car. Now, what is it that you want? That's the most important thing. So once you know what you really want, what your end goal is, what do you want to achieve? Some people want to become really rich. Well, that's, I mean, how rich is really rich, right? You know what I mean? You know, it depends. Like if someone's earning £1,000 a week now and they suddenly start making 10,000 a week, is that rich enough for you, or do you want more? So it's quite complicated, right? So there are times when we will get that, and I always say to people, I say, look, tell me what you want to achieve. What is it that you want to do, right? And you know, end of the day, let's work towards that. So that's something that we used to do a lot. I'm doing less of now, actually. You know, part of my consultation that I used to do, and Faisal knows about this as well. I do still do it, but I just don't have time because I've tried to prioritize other things in life, right? My directions, like, right, okay, where do I want to go? So I've had ups and downs. Life has been completely brutal with me, right? And I'm a real YouTuber. Well, call me a YouTuber if you want to. I mean, I'm not on the level of other guys with 100,000 subscribers or 200,000 subscribers, but this, what I'm telling you, is real. I'm a real person. I've gone through my ups, I've gone through my downs. I've made millions and I've lost millions, right? And I've gone back to zero and restarted it all over again. You see what I mean? So this is me, right? I'm a real person, end of the day, right? And many people have been on this journey with me, and they've seen my ups and downs. They've seen my mood swings. They've seen how I've flipped. They've seen how I've been completely silent at some times. They've seen how, you know, I've been affected, impacted. I've even had brothers who come over to me, and I'll blatantly say this, like KR. So when I had a massive financial situation regarding Ethereum, so I had a situation with Ethereum where I got hacked, basically, one of my wallets got hacked. When I had a situation like that, KR, a guy I've never met, I've never face-to-face met this brother. He's just a subscriber, right? He comes out to me, he's like, brother, anything, let me help you out, right? Whatever you need, let me help you out. Just him saying that makes all the difference. Of course, yes, I was devastated for losing what I did, but don't worry, I wasn't that bad, right? So, you know, I'm not that bad off that I got to go and, you know, get help from someone. I said, no, if I need it, I'll come to you. Thank you for the offer. If I need it, I'll come to you. And he can vouch as well. I'm on a live stream. And of course, if he's here, he can vouch for this as well. I haven't asked him for anything. Right? So there are situations like this. There's another brother, his name is Chris. I love you guys. He comes in sometimes, but he normally sits down and watches YouTube on a large screen with his entire family. So he's on another league, right? So he's a subscriber, a friend, a mentor as well to me as well, because during my worst of the times, right? Again, someone completely random, right? You know, someone who I've just known through business and association, right? Eventually becomes like a mentor to me. In my hardest times, he's there giving me that mental support that nobody else is giving me, because people just don't realize what someone goes through emotionally, mentally, right? You know, people think, yeah, this guy's got money, he'll recover. This guy's got a lot of savings, oh, he can just dip into that. What they don't realize is sometimes you worked your back ends off, right, to make as much money as possible, right? You want to make it there. You want the M behind your numbers, right? So you make it there, and then all of a sudden one day it's just gone, right? So when that happens, it doesn't matter how much you have remaining, right? Even for example, if you lost 100k and you got 900k remaining, it doesn't make a difference, right? You still lost 100k and you worked your balls off for that 100k. You traded like night and day to get to that level and higher numbers and whatnot, right? So you did everything. So people don't realize, they just shrug it off. It's like, because it doesn't impact, unless it happens to someone, it doesn't impact them. So, and of course, I don't think anything like that's happened to Chris, but he had that psychology to kind of connect me and kind of push me to the point where I think his last push, right? And I'm being transparent with you, and I'm sure if he watches as well, he can vouch for this as well, right? His last thing he said to me, right? And this was crazy. He goes, Sham, there's this course I want to do, right? There's this course I want to do, and I want to get my son involved. So he's got a son here. He's about, I think he's about 18, 19 now. He's like, I want to get my son involved, but he's just too lazy. He doesn't want to do it. Do you know what? I want to pay for it, and I want you to go and do it. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, it's a course. It's going to cost you like 10 grand. I want you to go and do that. So listen to what he said. He's offering me to go and do a course. He's going to pay for it so I can go and learn this or master this thing and move forward. And you've got to wonder yourself, it's like, hold on, why would he invest that into me? Because of course he saw what kind of situation I was. And for me, that was like the moment. It's like, if this guy believes in me, then I must be doing something wrong, because I'm not believing in myself. So I said, okay, thanks. I'll take you on your offer, but let me know when it's time. I'm not in a big rush. So while he did that, I said, you know what? Get my thinking cap on, and I started, because at that time I was going through a lot of negativity, a lot of bad juju, right? So I started to think negatively. Everything was bad, right? To the point where, check this out, you're not going to believe this, right? So I don't normally watch YouTube that much, right? Maybe a few cooking and this and that, I like food channels and whatnot, right? Travel channels, I like them, right? So for me, I started watching YouTube channels that were showing like scary stuff, or like horror stuff, or sad, like stuff that make you feel negative about everything, like shadows in the dark and all sorts, right? So I was covering myself with absolute negative energy, and I started attracting people that are negative as well, right? Absolute negative people. So I've had people come in with all sorts of negativity, and for me, I realized that was my own doing. So unless I change my psychology, I can't really move forward. So, by the way, guys, my name is Sham. This is your X5, and the truth is always out there. And of course, this is another truth as well. For me, obviously, you came for the crypto. You're getting a little bit of history, maybe a long-ended one, but it all matters, because it's all going to be put into context and perspective in a bit, right? So I hope you bear with me while I go through my story. So once I changed the way I kind of think, I realized the energy that I was getting was a lot more positive. So, and I started thinking positively again. I said, you know what, I got to start being positive. I got to start doing things in a different way, and hopefully things will change for me. So one of the things I was doing was, I'm sitting there and pondering this. Listen to this carefully, right? So forget about, just assume for a second I had zero money, absolutely zero, nothing in my bank, nothing in my pocket, nothing in my wallet, zero. So I've gone to zero again, right? And I'm actually going to do this on purpose. Very soon, I'm actually planning to do this on purpose, and I'll talk about this. This is crazy, right? What I'm about to do is going to be an absolute crazy thing that many people wouldn't dare to do probably, but I am going to do something insane very soon. So assume I had zero, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm too old, I'm unemployable, I need to find a job. Can I really work? Because I've never really worked for anyone. I've always been self-employed. I've always done stuff for myself. I'm a hustler. What am I going to do? How am I going to do? These are the thoughts that come to you, right? So you're like, okay, fine, I'm going to use what I got and do what I need to. And I will talk about my story, right, at some stage, but not today. I won't go deep into it today. But in my head, I'm thinking, do you know what? I don't care. I need to do whatever to bring money home, right? So even then, I'm not still kind of being too positive. I'm still being negative, right? Because I'm actually not actively looking for a job because I'm wondering, oh, am I employable? Or what am I going to do? And do you know what I mean? All of those kind of things. But I forgot that in my venture, as a business person, as an entrepreneur, right? Someone who's always been self-employed, someone who's a proper hustler, right? And a fast learner. I'm actually a very fast learner. I've picked up a lot of stuff on the way. So even though I was involved in a restaurant, I've done a bit of property, I've done this, I've done that, I forgot, I forgot that I had hidden talents. Talents are, well, who did the, renovations in the property? Did it myself. Who did all the stuff in the restaurant? Did it myself. So I was like, hold on, I'm actually kind of a jack of all trades. Technically, I am. And I did know a bit of that, but I was just not admitting to it. I was just not embracing that. I was like, hold on, I'm a bit of jack of all trades, right? So I can do everything. And I think sometimes it's better to be a jack of all trades than a master of one. Because I've tried to be master of one, right? And then I realized actually I'm better off being jack of all trades and master of none. You get me, right? So I was looking at that. I was like, okay, let me use my talent, whatever I've got, right? I've got patience, you know. I'm an absolute detail guy. I like doing carpentry work. I like doing building work. I don't care even if it's just painting and watching paint dry. We were laughing. Me and a mate of mine was laughing the other day how there was this job and he remembers he called me and he was like, "What you doing, bro?" I was like, "I'm watching paint dry." He's like, "I've never heard anyone actually admit they're watching paint dry." I said, "Yeah, I was actually waiting for the paint to dry." So it's hilarious, but I'm patient enough to do that. So I said to myself, I said, okay, I'm going to carry on doing this. Now, while I was doing this, I'm doing it because it's paying me and I enjoy it, right? It's a hidden talent. So I was like, I'll just do it. And through that, I talked about this before on YouTube as well. I got offered a job, a small contract, nothing too big, right? A small contract. Oh, okay, I'll take this contract. And watch how the doors keep on open. So, as I said, you'll understand why I'm talking about this because it will put things into perspective once you listen to it the entire length, right? So it opened up doors for me. It's like all of a sudden I've got an offer, too good to be true, right? For someone who's very new, who doesn't have a company, who doesn't have anything registered, right? Just doing it, working on a mate's project, right? Literally working for half price, you can say, doing it for a mate. Through that comes along a estate agent offers me a job. I'm like, okay, and it's not a small estate agent, it's a big estate agent. They're well known in London, let's put it this way. They're one of the top dogs, top 10, top 5, you could say. So they offered me a job for the work I did. I was like, okay, fine, let's do this. So I got a little contract to manage XYZ, do that. I did that. And while I'm doing that, obviously other doors are opening, right? I get to meet a whole bunch of landlords, right? And ideas are coming to me because you get to meet so many different landlords who have different kind of characteristics, right, or characters, right. And then I get to see their rental properties because I'm doing some stuff there as well. And what you realize is how they operate. So there are some landlords who are like, oh, I don't do yearly stuff, I don't do 2 yearly stuff, I do 5 years minimum. Okay, that's good. Right, I've met another one who does 2 years, right, maximum. It's like, okay, what, 2 years maximum? I was like, okay. So the guy who does 5 years minimum, he actually does up to 25 years. So I'm like, hold on, you actually lease the property. So, oh, good to know. Then I saw a landlord who manages his own Airbnbs. Great, okay, that's not a bad deal. I've met another landlord who rents to another company who does Airbnb. I was like, that's interesting. So through that, you get to meet different characters, as I said, absolute different characters, absolute gems as well, right? Lovely people. And once you connect with them, things start to change, right? Because I'm also kind of involved in a whole bunch of stuff with a whole different group of people doing an absolute different thing. So as I said, doors open up, right? So once you have these connections, like now you can tap into certain things, right? Okay, let's see, right? Okay, what if I was to buy a house? What if I open up a company? What if I do this? What if I do that? Right? Those kind of ideas roll along, right? And obviously, having the idea is great, but implementing them or executing those ideas is a whole different story. So I meet up with a whole bunch of other people, and I'm like good, like-minded people, right? Okay, you're into property, you're into this, you're into finance. Well, how about if we connect up and do something in between and start buying something properly? All right, here's a property, we're thinking about buying it cash. Here's a property, it's on auction, so we don't know how much it's going to be, but we can see the guide price or the list price, we know what it is, and then we can expect it to go up a little bit more. Would you be interested? And people are like, yeah. So once that happened, all of a sudden you have this, like, you kind of open up the floodgate, right? So you're talking about a property. In fact, I'll tell you a little bit about another property not far from here. I just kind of saw it anyway. You open up the floodgates because all of a sudden you've got all of these people, right, who are sitting there, who they don't communicate, they don't talk about it, you don't talk about it. You just don't approach each other because they don't know what you do. For example, most of the people that I've met, they were shocked. They were like, you doing building work? What's going on? Hold on, we thought you're a freaking millionaire. What's going on? I'm like, no job's too big or too small. And then obviously, so they're not talking to you because they think you're worth more than them, right? But in reality, they could be worth more than you. And it's like, hold on, don't judge a book by the cover, right? I could be richer than you, even now, but I could be poorer than you. But it doesn't really matter. Don't judge like that. What have you got to offer me, and what have I got to offer you? That's what matters. If we can come in between and connect, we can make differences. So for me, the way I looked at it was, okay, fine. I'm tapping into all of these people, right? And there are people out there sitting there with 5K, 10K, 20K, 30K, 40K, 50K, 100K, 200K, literally sitting in a bank doing fuck all, excuse my language, right? Or people have put it into multiple ISAs, and these are like the small guys, right? And they're hoping to make some money. It's like, okay, so if we go and purchase this and everybody comes on a contract and we give you XYZ, right? Would you, this is the return we're going to do. Would you be happy with that? And everyone's like, well, actually, that we make a lot more. So yeah, definitely we'll come into this. So as a company, it became more like so originally the idea was to be a venture capital, like a venture fund, but it became more of a private equity, right? More of a private equity. So basically, I don't know if you know the difference between a venture and an equity, kind of the same thing, but slightly different. Basically with an equity firm, the firm is now investing into multiple assets and properties and whatnot, and you just invest through that, and you're kind of the guy who's financing the money and XYZ. So I'm not going to go too deep into that. I'm not here trying to sell anything, guys. It is just a story about how things work. So got to the point where basically you're making all of these connections. You're seeing so many different people with so many different assets and balances. And all of a sudden, in my head, I'm thinking, well, how do we safely utilize all of this and give a better return, but at the same time, multiply, right? At the same time, multiply. I'm not seeing the chat. Let me give me a second. Let me just see the chat. I don't know what happened. All right. Okay, so I see Faisal here. Sham found you channel, like you said, about 2 years ago, and you're a genuine guy trying to help us all. Thank you, my brother. Right, so let's carry on, right? Okay, so thank you very much for that. So what was I saying? So we make connections, right? We make absolute connections, and all of a sudden you're tapping into these things, and then you realize that there are hundreds of people like this, and you didn't know because it's an unknown world. It's like, you've gone fishing, right? Obviously, I'm not fishing for anybody, but you've gone, and you don't know how many fishes there are in the pond. It could be an absolute dead pond with nothing in there, or it could have tons of fishes in there, right? So in my case, basically, through my experience, right? So because of something bad happened to me, and how friends from YouTube, nowhere else, right? YouTube came and wanted to support me. And through that, one thing led to another, and the triggers kept on happening. And then obviously, as I said, Chris was like the guy who really, really helped me, right? Because he did a few things. He even lent me money as well, by the way. And there was a time when I needed money. There was no one else I was going to go to. I actually went to him and I said, look, I do need some money. So he lent me the money. So Funny thing is, I had his money sitting in the account when I wanted to pay it back, but it was just sitting in the account. He was like, "Yeah, leave it there. Don't worry about it. Give it to me whenever." So I became his savings account afterward. But the point is, end of the day, like one thing led to another, a trigger point, to the point where I've met other people, and I had to just kind of believe in myself, believe in what I had, right? Tap into the talents I have, tap into the skills that I've picked up over the time, you know, and kind of forget the fact that I knew one thing and one thing only, or actually two, three things. Like for me, it was crypto and the restaurant industry. That's all I knew. But if I forgot both of them, I knew a lot more. So that's what I did. Anyway, so obviously, cut the long story short, I'm here today, right? From one thing to another. We're now basically moving forward, and I'm going like full in into properties. I've Faisal knows about this, and a few other people know about this on Discord as well. A lot of people know about this. So I've kind of diverted my attention to properties right now. I'm not saying anyone to buy any properties or whatever, but that's what I'm doing. So for me in crypto, right? So obviously when it went to 76k, I stopped out, cashed out. So I've got a whole shit ton of cash, right? A lot of my clients who also cashed out before 76, actually some of them cashed out around 88, and I think it was about 78 as well, some of them as well. They all came back in just like I did at 98k. Everybody came back in again, so everyone's made a shit ton of money right now, right? Because there's a whole load of cash flow. Call it cash flow, right? Once you get rid of your crypto, you're back into USDT, USDC, you've got cash, liquid cash. You can do whatever you want. You can now take it out, go and buy a house, go and purchase a property, reinvest or do whatever, and then come back again. It's listen, this market is insane, right? And for me, I've learned, like with the, as I said, the hidden talents that I had, right, or the hidden knowledge that I had, that I had within me the whole time, which I wasn't tapping into because I was one or the other, right? Or at most I did two things, and that's all I knew. And I was like, well, hold on, actually there's so much more I know, and there's so much more I can actually, as I said, like a pond with a bunch of fish, you can access. So that's what I did. I just tapped into what I had, and I said, look, here's what it is, here's the plans, right? You know, for example, I'm going to pay you 10%, right? And some people are like, but hold on, how much are you going to charge? Well, I'll charge myself 1%, I'll charge myself 2%. The money, how much I was charging was not important. What was more important for me at that time when I started, this is, I'm talking about this like this is within the last year, right? It hasn't even been a full year. This is, you know, how long it's been. So it's been absolute insanity, especially the last 6 months. It's been moving so fast, like freaking like a bullet train, right, into Japan. Right, it's been moving so fast, it's unbelievable. So one thing led to another, as I said, and you're meeting so many different people, and you're like, okay, hold on, you got crypto, you got liquid asset. How can I use the liquid asset to have fixed asset, but then become liquid again? It's just, listen, these, obviously I'm not going to disclose it here, but it's just absolute insanity, and that's what's happening right now. So I figured out how to multiply, right? How to multiply, hence why it's been moving so fast. And I mentioned this on Discord as well. I think I mentioned it on YouTube as well, where I had nothing, and now I have pretty much everything that I wanted or I've lost. So I'm doing quite well. And for me, it's just been so rapidly moving that I know that now I've got to the point where I don't really have to do much. Just kind of take it back, like, you know, take it easy, and just let the investments that I've made, let them kind of roll in. So as they roll in, I can move forward and I can change things up a little bit. And that's what I'm doing right now anyway. So changing things up a little bit. And I've just been kind of pondering for the last few days, to be honest, right? I think, and this is what I want to share with you guys, the update about my life I want to share with you guys. Right? And I'll do a BTC update just after that as well, right? Nothing's bad. Don't worry. BTC is moving. It's doing its thing, right? Don't panic, right? That's what I said on Discord as well. So the way I'm looking at it is, so I've kind of been pondering, right? So I've kind of been pondering, it's like, okay, I should be, this is the reality, I should be back to where I was, if not better, within 5 years. Now, someone losing everything that they worked hard for, completely all the liquid assets and everything, right? Coming to the point where I could say with confidence, and you guys know me very well, I don't say things with confidence unless I'm really confident about it, that I should be fine in 5 years. if not more, right? So, and that's because I've factored in how fast things are moving and how it's spreading and what I need to do. So I got to the point I was like, do you know what? Okay, this is moving fast. This is doing everything. What am I going to do after that? I can continue, or I could figure something else out. And that's where I said, I'm going to get to the point where I want to go back to zero. And what I mean by that, I'm not going to go to zero, guys. Come on, let's be honest, right? I went to zero, and believe me, it was hard. And for me to recover and come back to where I want, I've learned a lot of life lessons. I was arrogant. I was ignorant. I was full of it, right? That's what I'm going to say. And what I mean by that was just absolute self-confidence, right? There's confidence and then there's too much self-confidence, right? So for me, I did things and I kind of thought it was good, thought it was secure. I've made mistakes, right? But I learned from my mistakes, and I've learned from all of them. I was like, okay, fine. I can't go all in, which I did. I have to have a nice little backup, a nice little stash, which I was doing, but I didn't do it to an extent. So now anyway, I've got to the point where I'm like, okay, I need to have an absolute backup. So to the point where I can get to a stage where I don't have to do anything. It's crazy, right? So if I technically do nothing, then technically I don't work for anything. So that's what I mean by zero. But when I want to go zero, I'm thinking, you know what? This is good. This is going to be good, but it's getting boring. It's moving so fast. It's going to be boring very soon. When it gets boring, what do I do? So I thought of myself. I said, you know what? There's a few things that I like as a hobby. As I said, building, decorating, painting. I love these kind of. I could literally sit there and watch paint dry. So after thinking about all of these things, I said, you know what? My end goal is I want to open up a workshop, but as a business. I want to open up a workshop as a business, right? Some sort of a, I don't know, workshop, garage, unit, whatever, as a business. But I want to do it with zero. Means I want to start off with nothing. Business, zero. No income, no taking, nothing. Maybe a very small investment as well. Just what normal, an average person would do. And I want to take that to new heights. So that's what I meant. I want to do it zero. To the point where I even thought, you know what? I'm talking about it here on this channel. It has like 3,600 subscribers and growing every other day. I don't know how, even though I don't make much videos, right? I don't really get that many views. I'll probably even open a brand new channel just for that. Just to prove myself that, you know what? If you have the willpower and if you have dedication and commitment, obviously a lot of the time, commitment, dedication, it's all there. But the one thing you don't have is financial backup. Because that's what the problem is. And most people say, oh, I quit my job and I did this and I did that. Not really. Come on, let's be honest, guys. Not many people do that. But when I say I'm going to quit my job, I literally mean I quit my job, because currently what my job is, I'm a decorator, painter decorator, interior decorator, whatever you want to call it, property investment. And, you know, that's what I'm doing. And I'm being transparent here. That's all I'm doing right now. But if I quit all of that, then I did quit my job. So, and that's the journey I'm planning to do, basically. So I don't know what I'm going to build in the unit or a workshop, but that's what I'm thinking about. And it might be soon, it might be later, I don't know. Because, do you know what? I'll be honest with you guys. I like YouTube. I like sharing stuff. I like sharing, helping, and all of that kind of things. But a lot of the time, it's not rewarding, right? So even though I love all of these things, I love YouTube, I love all of this, I love all of you guys, right? So don't take this the wrong way. But it's not rewarding. And a lot of people, because they know it's not rewarding, they like to monetize things and do this and this. And I'm like, I don't need any of that. I just like doing it. Let me do it. I just like to record or whatever. I'm going to do it. I don't have to worry about YouTube being rewarding. I just do it. Because I'm going to reward myself through whatever I make, whatever I build, whatever I paint. Do you know what I mean, right? That's where the reward comes in. Because I'm going to be charging whoever, clients, customers, whatever. That's where my reward's going to come in. So that's what I'm planning to do. I know it's a long-winded one, but that's where I think my end goal is. Because, guys, I'm going to make a lot of money in crypto this season, right? Like every other season, I'm going to make a lot of money. But this season, I'm not going to just leave it in there. There's no more hodling for me. Hodling is okay in the bottom of the market. Yeah, when the market bleeds out and goes down to 80-90%, that's when I want to buy and hodl. Yeah, so that's exactly when I hodl. Other than that, there's no hodling. So my idea is whatever money I make, 10% of that goes into hodl portfolio. It was the reverse before, by the way. That was the reverse before. So this is me being stupid. Now I'm being a little bit more kind of strategical. I'm saying, well, I'm going to put 10% in my hodl portfolio because that's what I need. I need working capital. So working capital is 90%. So if 90% is my working capital, from that, I want to invest, because all the digitals are there. I want to invest into physical assets as well, because I've figured out how to put it into physical assets and then multiply and come back again. So that's what I want to do. I want to go in, have a physical asset as a backup, because that's the one thing nobody can hack, nobody can nick, right? You can't steal, right? You can't even freaking inherit it unless I sign for it. How freaking crazy is that? So that's what I've been missing out. That's where I made my biggest mistakes, and that's where I'm leading everybody now. And I'm saying, do you know what, guys? There is a way, and we've been doing it wrong, because everyone's been trying to make crypto, right? Oh, I'm gonna 10x my crypto, 20x my crypto, 30x my crypto, 50x my crypto. And guess what? There are people who do it. I mean, I'm not going to mention who, but the brother here, there was a brother here. I think he 20x, 15,000 or something x, a particular coin, right? And I'm not going to mention the names, but yeah, his little investment, I think it was 10,000. Sorry, it was 10,000, because he put like $800 in, if I remember correctly, and it became like $80,000 or something like this, right? And it all happened within a day or two. Happens, guys. It happens. There's no ifs and buts. It happens. It's happened to many people, right, that I know, including myself to a certain extent, on multiple projects. Multiple. $50 has turned into a lot of money. $100 turned into a lot of money. But again, you got to look at what kind of assets they are, right? And a lot of people who have made them, including myself, right? We've seen something go up 20,000%, and then the next day you left it there, you didn't cash out. The next day it dropped down to minus whatever. You know what I mean? It also happens. So yeah, we do have that scenario. We do that's a reality that we gotta go through. So my advice is, look, if you see your wallet pump, take the money, get the hell out as soon as you can, right? Just take the money, get the hell out, right? Never being Costin, my brother. See you. Faisal says, sounds sick, bro. My inshallah. It is what it is, my brother. Sorry, I couldn't see the chats. I don't know what's going on. The chats are not coming up as they should for whatever reason. So I just had to kind of flip it to another chat, and all of a sudden the chats just came. So no idea what's going on. Faisal says, all because of the Discord calls, bro. Some amazing knowledge, ESP from KI. Exactly, my brother. This is the thing. You know what I've noticed, right? And look, I'm going to say this. I don't know, whoever doesn't like it, it's up to you, right? This universe, right? We have this cosmic connection, this whole connection. You know, some people call it God, whatever you want. Doesn't matter. We can say whatever you want. But what I'm going to say is, we are connected in one way or another, right? We are connected in one way or another, and somehow, at some point in life, at some point in time, doesn't matter what the distance we are, right? We connect, right? So, like KR, I connected with him. I've never met him in person. You, Faisal, I've never met you in person. Costin. So Costin came to me through Bubble. I've never personally met Costin, but we've had plenty of video calls and loads of face-to-face conversations. He even bought some crypto for me. So there's a crypto I couldn't buy because the exchange doesn't work in my country. So I sent him Bitcoin over. I said, here you go, Bitcoin, right? It's a very small amount, but I sent him the Bitcoin, right? He still got it. I still haven't given him the wallet address to receive it. That's because I trust him. Costin, you're holding my crypto, bro. Hold it for as long as you want. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. You get to meet people. Like, as I said, it's a cosmic connection, right? Costin, brother from a whole different place, like, you know, across the pond, right? Is from Europe. We connected, right? And here we are. Absolute trust amongst each other. You know what I mean? So that makes a massive difference, right? A lot of people don't realize. I mean, Costin's here. Costin, have I even bothered sending you the wallet address? No, because I know it's safe. And I've never met Costin in person. It's safe, you know? Bubble, he's now moved over. He's gone, I think, somewhere up north anyway. He's gone up somewhere north. But believe me, if this guy was local, we'd be meeting each other. Do you know what I mean? And I trust him. You know, end of the day, you know, I would happily leave my money with him. You know what I mean? That's the level of trust I have. So that's what it is. And as I said, it's like a cosmic connection. A lot of the time we just connect, man. I don't know how, but we connect, and there's a reason. Now that's the key here. There's a massive reason. John 3:16, my brother. All right. I like your icon, by the way. I like your icon, my brother. Crow would do as usual. So I'm not going to give individual coins. We've got millions of them. However, Crow would perform along with all the alts. That's what I'm going to say. But what I've said to some of the guys, blessings to you too, my brother, blessings to you too. Bless all of us, right? We need the blessings from each other and good prayers and good thoughts. That's the most important thing. But remember, always be positive, because that's what I've learned. Positive. Costin says with the 70 billion unburn, but I think we'll go up. Yes, Costin. But let's put it this way, right? Let me go to what I said on Discord the other day. So on Discord, I believe, I know, John, you're probably not on Discord, which is fine. All right, guys, I'm not promoting. I'm not telling anyone to come and join Discord. I'm never there anyway, so I'm being transparent. I'm literally never there. I'm just too busy with life right now and all the other bits and bobs I'm doing. But let's put it this way. So KR, he asked the question the other day regarding, I think it was, what's it called? Oh man, it's gone out of my head. Arbitrum, optimism, and there was another one he asked about as well. So what I said to him, and it was very specific, right? I said, this is what Ethereum's doing, and these coins are keeping up with Ethereum. So that's what I said, keeping up with Ethereum. But if you look at some of the other coins, what you notice is they are starting to pump, right? Now, if Ethereum starts to pump, then a lot of the altcoins are not going to move. That's what you got to realize, right? Because we're not in the same kind of a situation. So for me, every season that we have, I kind of change my strategy based on what the current season has thrown at us, right? Like for example, when I first joined crypto way back in 2008, not 2008, sorry, my bad, when crypto launched in 2008, but when I started in 2015, I'm sorry, my bad, because I'm thinking about BTC. So when BTC came out 2008, but I wasn't there that time. I was there from 2010 technically, but I'm not going to even take that. 2015 is when I went in from. So 2015, right? During that time, there was like 200-300 coins. That's all we had. So that's what I had on the plate. Come 2017, 2018, right? Around that time, about 3,600 coins. So we knew we needed a bigger plate. And now we have like millions of coins. So end of the day, as we progress, we have to see the market differently. So earlier on, many people who followed me, they know about this as well. I used to use, and I still do use, Bitcoin as an indicator. So you'd see me talking about Bitcoin most of the time. However, with altcoins, right, Ethereum is kind of an indicator, but I've noticed a few differences, a few changes in the last couple of years, especially this cycle, this season, right? So 2 years, I would say. I've noticed something very funny and weird. Ethereum wasn't following the other alts. Ethereum was doing its own thing, in fact, doing absolutely nothing. So you see me moan about Ethereum doing absolutely nothing for the last entire year. Go back on any video you see, right? I've been moaning about it, right? So the way I looked at it, I was like, hold on, Ethereum's trying to do something else. So of course, there was a lot of political issues, a lot of BS, and a lot of stuff going on. But Ethereum just didn't do anything. And I was so disappointed. It's like, when I look at that chart, everything else is moving. They've done pretty well, right? I mean, one of the best performing altcoin last season, well, we're still in the season, right? So let me not say past tense. I apologize. But one of the, well, let's just say last run, because we're still in a bull market, in a bull run. So the last run we had, the best performing coins in my wallet was Solana. And I've mentioned it to so many people. I've even talked about it when Solana went to $10, $12, around that figure. I remember I made a video, guys. Even FTX, when it collapsed, I made a video. There's a video there. And we talked about it. I said, guys, even though FTX has done this, even though Solana has had some connections and whatnot, FTX being one of the biggest investors, everything's all good, right? So I'm telling people, go and buy, do whatever, right? It's still good to hold, good to buy. Don't worry about it because of how it looked. Those people who have bought around those time, they made, 16, 17x, not bad, right? So that's a coin that did really well. Now, Crow was the opposite, right? So coming back to Crow, I know it's a bit long-winded, but just try and let me put things into context for you, right? So with Crow, it kind of performs with Ethereum, not with all of the alts. However, Ethereum needs to stop. So I think a lot of the blue chips, and Crow is a blue chip, by the way. I'm a big fan. I still hold my a large enough batch from way back in the days when it was like 0.00 something. Let's just put it this way, right? So I am a big fan. Now, one thing I do quite funny, this is hilarious, right? I don't know, maybe you don't find it funny, but I usually got a crypto.com card, and what I tend to do is I usually spend on my .com card during a bear market, because I collect all the free crow that they throw at me, because I still get those, right? I don't know if it's the same if they give it or not, but that's what I do. During a bear market, I spend on my crow to collect more crow. And then when I see the bull market start, I stop and I just stake my crow to receive crow rewards. And I just leave it there. So that's what I do with crow, right? So I'm a big fan of crow, and I do hope crow can go back to his almost $1 or something like this. That's where I want to go. Let's see what happens. But for now, what we need is BTC to stop, but not crash, because that's the worst thing, because that's going to bleed the market down. So BTC just needs to take a break. Ethereum needs to do its thing. Ethereum really needs to do its thing. It needs to go towards that 4.5K mark. It really has to, right? Even possibly hit the 5,000 mark. That's what would trigger. Now, a lot of people was like, well, what's it going to trigger? Let me explain what it triggers, right? This is what you have to understand. There's a bit of a psychology behind this, right? Money doesn't grow on trees, right? So we can't just go and pluck money out from somewhere and just chuck it in, right? We don't have, even though we see millions and millions of wallets, believe me, sometimes 1,000 wallets could belong to one person. Like, I can possibly say that I have more than 1,000 wallets. Me, one person has 1,000 wallets. So if you multiply the number of people that are actually in crypto and the number of wallets and then divide it, right, all of a sudden things look different. So we're not getting so many more adoption as we think. And yes, we are somehow, but a lot of this is now being centralized, which is not the same as what we see on chain, right? So through some banks and this and that. So yeah, there are people buying and selling there, but they're very small amounts, nothing significant, nothing big. So the OGs in the market, right, or in the game, are already there. They're already there. They have hundreds, if not thousands of wallets, right, as I said, right? So when people make money in Ethereum, when people make money in BTC, well, they don't put it back into USD or USDT or whatever. They don't just cash out like some people think they do. No, they don't. Some people will actually take that and then reinvest it into alt. And that's what an altcoin season is. You take your profit from your mainstream coins, your big boys, your blue chips, your chain links and whatnot, and this, that, right? Your Ethereums, your Optimism, your Arbitrum, right? Your Aptos, your Sui, right? Sui's part of that as well. Say, my number one coin. And those of you who have watched me from the past know about Say as well, how I love Say. So you take the profits from the big boys, right? The big performers, the ones that follow BTC and whatnot, right? Including Ethereum as well. And then what you do, you shove it into the coins, the other small caps, blue chips or whatever you call it. That's where the money's coming in. That's where you see those, 5x, 10x, 20x, whatever, right? That's where you're going to see that. So for me, regardless what Crow's doing, the unburn, burn, whatever, doesn't matter. None of that business matters, right? Really doesn't matter. Of course, it's political. That if they are having an unburn event, then that should ruin them. In fact, it might be an opportunity to short them, right? Make more money, make more Crow. I don't know. I'm not suggesting anything, right? And this is not financial advice. Of course, your money, go and do whatever you're going to do. It's your Crow, whatever you're going to do. But that might be an idea. So sometimes you got to just take that opportunity and say, well, hold on, what's the wisest thing to do? I'm the biggest fan. I'm the biggest fan. But if I can short it and make some more, well, I don't see a reason why not, right? If I can long it, I don't see a reason why not. You see what I mean? So you got to think differently. So, yeah. Now, I am looking at the charts, right? But I'm seeing something funny, obviously. The other day on Discord, when we were around the 103, right? So we broke the 103 and I was like, right. And I mentioned this on YouTube and on Discord as well. So guys, look, the 98,400, that's a level that we need to pass through, break through. We're going to go and test the 103,400. All right. Mentioned that. We went there. Then that same day we tested the 104 and then we failed a little bit. I was like, fine. And at that time, I published it on Discord and I said, the guys, we're going to go and test the 106. Unfortunately, we didn't hit the 106 on the dot, but it doesn't matter. That's just a number that I gave because I'm kind of zoomed out. So when I'm looking at a weekly, that's my number that's kind of showing to me. So I was like, okay, 106. So we went to 105.7, which is not bad. $300 off, or actually less than $300 off than the 106. And we've tested it, which is great, and we came back down. And when that was happening, one of the brothers, he was like, should we hold 103? I was like, no, actually, it would be, and the specific word I used was, it would be fantastic. But it would be perfect if we can hold 98k. Now, I'm actually hoping that we hold 98k, 98.4 actually, to be precise. If we can go and touch 98.4, then the move would be greater going up, right? And the momentum would be greater. Like, you've got a rocket fully fueled. Let's just put it this way, right? That's what will happen. So that's what I'm hoping for if it comes. If not to worry at all. We might just go and test that 106 again and smash through. Currently, we're back at 102. We did go down as low as 101 or something like this. A lot of people started panicking, crapping their pants. Sad reality. It is what it is. Faisal says optimism. Yes, it was optimism. But as I mentioned about that as well, they will follow. Now, optimism, I am quite optimistic about it. But optimism themselves are not doing much. So understand where I'm coming from. So optimism is a layer 2 project, right? Obviously, it's an Ethereum layer 2 project. However, the company behind it, the project, right? And it's a real company, by the way. It's a registered company. So it's not crypto, decentralized crypto. If someone says the decentralized, it's not decentralized, it's very centralized, right? But a lot of other projects, like Coinbase and ETC, right? Base network, for example, is actually a copy of Optimism. In fact, built by the founders and creators of Optimism. So Optimism has been doing a lot of corporate work, right? They're getting money elsewhere. They're not even bothered with the crypto. So I think when they finally decide to bother with the crypto, I think Optimism has a chance to probably go to a couple of dollars, right? If not more. That's what I believe. Now, of course, when it comes to Sui, what's the story behind them? Aptos, what's the story behind them? Well, the story behind them is these are a bunch of Facebook engineers who literally copied DM or whatever you want to call it, that Facebook wanted to launch, and literally launched that. So these guys have already tapped into massive pools of funding, right? Massive funding, right? Round 3, round 4, the Series A, Series B. So these guys have a shit ton of money, marketing power to do whatever they want. And of course, massive wallets. So when you look at those projects, you know they're going to do really, really well. That's how I kind of feel anyway. Hence why I do have a good bet on them, right? And I feel that these projects are all technically blue chips to me. So the one I look at, Aptos, Arbitrum. Arbitrum is a competitor of Optimism, but doing things slightly more towards, I would say, DeFi, like, or refi, whatever you call it, like finance. So more to do with crypto finance. That's what they're doing. Optimism is doing more towards infrastructure for institutions and whatnot. That's a whole different thing, right? Saying that, Ethereum's been doing that for years anyway, so that's a different story. But it's going to be good to see what happens. However, I do want everybody to kind of keep calm. Like when you see the market moving, when you see 109k tomorrow or maybe 110k tomorrow, new all-time high, everyone's all gone crazy, and all the YouTubers and all the guys on the X, all the guys on Instagram and whatnot, right? TikTok, whatever, pop out and say, oh, now we're going to 250k, 300k, 500k. And people just go absolute bonkers, right? Absolute chaos starts, right? That's when you need to calm down and actually say, well, I'm going to move my stop loss. That's what you got to do. Just move your stop loss. Because with absolute chaos, market could be destroyed in a second and no one's going to know about it. Because it only takes one or two of these massive whales out there to just pull, like, kind of a rug, right? Kind of a rug. Just to pull the rug and just go. You know what I mean? And that's it, end the market. Costin, good night, my brother. Nice to see you. I'll see you on another one very soon. Hopefully, we'll have a better live stream next time with more people, right? I know today's been just kind of random. I just thought, you know what? I'm going to go and see what happens. So, but yeah, that's what I believe anyway. So there isn't, there's always going to be an opportunity for the whales to just say, market's finished. Because what you got to remember is market makers and takers, right? Most of us are takers. Makers are a whole different ballgame, right? These guys can make the market to go down or make the market to go up, and they have large portfolios and millions, if not billions, at disposable for them to do whatever they want. Because either way, if they decide to destroy the market, they will short billions, and they can actually make billions, right? If they want to move the market up, they will long billions on the side and make billions. So you see, market makers have a massive power and absolute control to do whatever they want, and that's what's happening right now. Big institutions are paying the makers to do whatever. So, you know, just there's no definite of like Crow's going to do this or that's going to do this. We're all fans of something. I'm a big fan of Crow, as I said, and many other coins that I've mentioned here. Of course, none of this is financial advice, but some may perform, some may not. But the way the market works, the way the structures work, the way the patterns I've identified, I think BTC is just doing its thing. Not to worry. Ethereum has a great chance to push, and if Ethereum pushes, then a lot of the layer 2s that follow Ethereum is also going to follow. Actually, talking about Crow, I think Crow, yeah, I think they also involved with optimism as well. So anyway, but you know, a few coins I've mentioned anyway. But ultimately, what it means is that the money has to filter down, unless we have some magic money coming in, unless they're printing more money somewhere, right? Money has to flow down, right? And if they flow down, then other coins will actually do good as well. So that's how I'm going to say, that's how I see it anyway. Other than that, coming back to crypto, coming back to Bitcoin, currently we're sitting at 102.8, right, which is good. It's not bad. And I think, yeah, I mean, the next target for us, as I said, 106. From 106, we might even go and test the 109, if not even better, and see where we go. And once we do that, if we can break the 109, we can actually test the 133 to 137. So let's see what that does. But yeah, you know a lot about me right now. I kind of talked a little bit, but as I said, I will do a dedicated video, not like this, not on a live, but I would definitely do a dedicated video, kind of like my entire journey, right? Let's just say pretty much probably my whole autobiography, right? At some stage, somewhere, you know, I could either write a book and then say, oh, I'm writing a book. Maybe not. I'll probably do a video anyway. It would be much better. But that's something I am thinking about. And, you know, where I want to go and what I want to do. Do you know what I mean? It's just, things are moving fast. Things are moving fast. And, you know, yeah, there will be opportunities out there. And Faisal, there are things that we've discussed. To be honest, my brother, as soon as I'm ready, I'll give you a shout. Because you know what? You try and do something and then something else comes up and you get occupied, right? So yeah, it's just been absolute manic. So of course, just to let you guys know, I haven't actually been doing any building work recently. I've just been busy running around with some of these property projects that we have. And actually, I almost missed it. Remember I said there's another property behind us. So there's a property that's come on the market. The guy's asking for prices over £630,000 for this property. I think it's a 3-bedroom. It's got a garden. It's got a driveway. Everything in a very good postcode, Hampstead, right? Now, here's the fun fact. The guy's asking for £630,000 for this property. The average going rate for a property in that area is about £750,000 for a 2-bedroom. So obviously there's value there. So we obviously looked around. It's like, hold on, why is the guy asking for less than what the market wants for a property like that? A property like that should be at least 800 to 850 in that road. So why, right? And then it made sense. You can't get a mortgage on that property, so it has to be a cash buy. So yeah, we are actually quite interested in buying this cash on top of all the other things that we want to do. So there's I'm not plugging anything here, guys, but there is an opportunity. I have spoken to a few people and I said, look, if we agree to go, so far we haven't gone in yet. We have put offer. We've put an offer in to see what happens. Can we buy it cash? Yes, we can. But is there an option for other people to join as well? Yes. So there are opportunities out there, but of course there's a minimum threshold. I can't have anybody just coming in with like, oh, put my grand in or two. No, bro, we're paying cash for something that guy's asking for, offers over £630,000. So end of the day, it could be 650, it could even be 700 by all means. That means we need 700k. So we can't be messing around with too many people with too many small amounts of funds. Hence why I'm not promoting to anybody. Hence why I didn't speak about it to anybody. Hence why I didn't even mention on Discord. Just kind of spoke to a few people that I know have the kind of cash that I'm talking about. They have that, and the less people I have, the less headache this would be, right? Because it's kind of complicated, right? Because I mean, it's a whole different thing. I'm not going to explain it here. I'll probably make another video or do another whole thing. But yeah, so there is opportunities out there, as I said, guys. But right now, do you know what? You're making money on crypto. Make the money in crypto, but remember also to keep the money that you made in crypto. All right, and I'm not going to use that word, right? You know, the two letter words that I usually use starts with S and ends with L, or yeah, no, it starts with S and ends with S. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is I'm not going to say anything else. You guys make sure you do whatever needs to be done. Protect those funds, make that money, and make sure to lock those things. If you're doing trades, if you're doing a 10x, 20x leverage, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But, right, whatever you do, make sure to lock those profits in, have a stop loss, right? So that way you can at least come up with something, come up with some profit. Doesn't matter how high it goes. And you can do that over and over again, day in, day out, right? And you can do that while you sleep. That's what matters. So other than that, guys, I'm not going to make this video any longer. It's been an absolute pleasure having you guys here. Obviously, I've been kind of just yapping away, talking to myself, literally, other than seeing the chats or whatever part of the chat that I can see. Yeah, I'm literally talking to myself. It's kind of weird, but it is what it is. So by the end of the day, thank you very much for coming here. Thank you for listening to my story, if you have listened to it right to the end. For those of you who have stuck to the end, for those of you who have come here for like 1 second and just left, adios my amigos. That's what I'm going to say, right? But everybody else, thank you very much for coming to the show. If you are here for the first time, smash that like button, hit that subscribe if you haven't already, share with one another, join the Discord if you want to. I'm not going to plug it here. Join the Discord if you want to. There's a whole bunch of links down there. Check it out. I'm an open book end of the day, so it is what it is. And I said, there will be a time when I want to share my entire story with you guys, and wow, it's going to be a good one, because yeah, I've been waiting for this. I think it's time I need to share my story, right? Other than that, I'll see you guys in another one very soon. Adios, my amigos.